Well, good evening, everyone. And on behalf of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, I want to welcome you to our third and final virtual public hearing for the Bus Terminal Replacement Project's Draft Environmental Impact Statement, or DEIS. My name is Nick Fazio, and I'm your technical host for this evening's meeting. Please direct your attention to the instructions on your screen. We are offering live interpretation of this meeting into both American Sign Language and Spanish. Please use the interpretation icon on your toolbar to choose which language you'd like to listen to today's meeting in. You will need to choose the language you'd like to listen in, even if that language is English. If you've chosen to listen to this meeting in a language other than English, you can click on the interpretation icon again and choose the Mute Original Audio option, so you only hear the meeting in your preferred language. Selecting this option is not required, but it may improve your audio quality. American Sign Language interpreters will be pinned on your screen at all times throughout this meeting. This meeting will start with a pre-recorded video, followed by a comment session for the public record. We've optimized settings for your viewing experience, but if you miss any part of the video presentation, it will be posted to the Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement Project website at www.PABTReplacement.com, along with information about how to comment. Today's meeting is being recorded and will also be available on the project website at www.PABTReplacement.com. If you are experiencing technical issues, you can contact the technical team via the Q&A function on your toolbar or by calling our tech support line at 1-603-782-2460. You can also check your meeting invite for an instructional leaflet with more information on using Zoom. And during this evening's meeting, only members of the project team and our ASL interpreters will be on video. Attendees will not have video and will be muted. If you are a registered speaker, your microphone will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. The chat function is also disabled for attendees, but you may communicate with our team through the Q&A box. If you did not pre-register to give a verbal comment, you may also submit a short comment in the Q&A box and it will be added to the record. We are accepting registration for verbal comments until 7:55 p.m. Again, we're offering live interpretation of this meeting into both American Sign Language and Spanish. Please use the interpretation icon on your toolbar to choose which language you'd like to listen to this evening's meeting in. Please do so now and select the language you'd like to listen in, even if that language is English. Finally, if you experience any audio issues during the meeting, you can change your audio settings by selecting the up arrow next to Audio Settings on your toolbar. You can also try leaving the webinar and rejoining at any time if you continue to run into technical issues. And on this screen, you can see more information about how you can provide a comment now or at a later date. This information will be shown again during the comment session. Before we share the video presentation, today's hearing officer, Port Authority Legal Counsel Elizabeth Rogak, will provide some opening remarks and introductions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. On behalf of the Federal Transit Administration and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, I would like to welcome all of you to this public hearing on the Draft Environmental Impact Statement, or DEIS, for the Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement Project. My name is Elizabeth Rogak, and I am representing the Port Authority, and I'm the official hearing officer for this hearing. For the record, this public hearing is part of an environmental review process for the proposed Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement Project. The Federal Transit Administration, or FTA, and the Port Authority have prepared a draft environmental impact statement in compliance with the National Environmental Policy Act, known as NEPA. The draft environmental impact statement, or DEIS, was made available to the public on February 2nd, 2024. The public comment period will remain open until March 18th, 2024. At this hearing, we are accepting oral comments on the Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement Project and its DEIS. In a few minutes, we will show a 25-minute video presentation about the NEPA process, the proposed project's purpose and need, how the project will be constructed, and the next steps in the environmental review process. Joining me today from the FTA Region 2 is Community Planner Mr. Raymond Tomchek. While the FTA and the Port Authority are joint lead agencies for this project, you, the public, are an essential part of this process. Your comments will become part of the official record, mandated as part of the federal process. The FTA and the Port Authority will review all comments received, prepare a summary of the comments, and prepare responses to the comments. These comments will be considered when preparing the final EIS, and as appropriate, the analysis in the EIS document may be revised as a result. Please note that we will not be responding to your specific questions and comments at this hearing. All comments received during the hearing or during the public comment period will be documented, and responses to them will be part of the final environmental impact statement. Please be advised that unless otherwise specifically stated by the commenter, all information submitted at the public comments will be submitted and subject to public release, such as names, addresses, and email addresses. We will now begin the hearing presentation.
Hello and welcome to this public hearing for the Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement Project. This public hearing is being conducted in accordance with the National Environmental Policy Act, more commonly known as NEPA. The Federal Transit Administration, or FTA, the NEPA lead agency, has determined that an Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS, is to be prepared for the proposed project, referred to as the Bus Terminal Replacement Project. Under the auspices of the NEPA process, the Port Authority is seeking federal funding to assist with financing the proposed Bus Terminal Replacement Project. The NEPA EIS will also serve as the City Environmental Quality Review, or SEQR. The FTA, in coordination with the Port Authority, has prepared the draft Environmental Impact Statement, or DEIS, with input from the public and in coordination with federal
con entidades federales, estatales y locales. El aviso de disponibilidad
was published in the Federal Register. At the conclusion of this presentation, we will review the comment period, all comments submitted during this hearing, and the entire public comment period will be reviewed and addressed within the final Environmental Impact Statement, which is expected to be completed in August 2024. Following these introductory remarks, we will present via this video an introduction of the project, an overview of community engagement conducted to date, a comprehensive project overview featuring detailed site plans, an overview of construction phasing and process, and finally, the project timeline and next steps. The FTA, in coordination with the Port Authority, will be hosting a total of 4 public hearings, 3 virtual via the Zoom platform and 1 in person, for the Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement Project DEIS, to hear comments from the public. Following this presentation, attendees will have the opportunity to provide comments. For those who have pre-registered to provide a comment, the moderator will call your name in the order in which your registration was received. Each participant will have 3 minutes to articulate their comments. If you have not pre-registered to provide a comment, you may request to do so once the public hearing is underway, and you will be called upon if time permits. Alternatively, written submissions of comments can be submitted after the public hearing through various channels, such as the designated website, www.pabtreplacement.com, email at pabtreplacementnepa@panyj.gov, by phone, leaving a voicemail at 92950273004, or by postal correspondence to the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey. 4, World Trade Center 150 Greenwich Street, 25th floor, New York, New York zip code 10007. Attention to Miss Elizabeth Rogak, Esquire. Or to the Federal Transit Administration, Region 2, 1 Bowling Green, Room 428, New York, New York zip code 10004-1415, Attention to Mr. Donald Burns, FDA Director of Planning and Program Development. We are here to listen to you and hear your comments. Your feedback is important and continues to guide the future of this project. In this section, we will provide a brief overview of the National Environmental Policy Act. This is followed by the project's purpose, need, goals, and objectives. The National Environmental Policy Act. Federal agencies are required by NEPA to prepare an EIS if a proposed federal action may significantly affect the quality of the natural or built environment. An EIS is a detailed written statement that defines the purpose and need for a proposed action, considers a range of reasonable alternatives, including a no-action alternative that is the future without the proposal, identifies and evaluates the potential environmental impacts from the proposed action and any reasonable alternatives, and identifies measures that may mitigate the potential effects of a proposed action. Project purpose and need. A new bus terminal is needed to accommodate approximately 260,000 passenger trips on a busy weekday. This translates to approximately 23% of all Trans-Hudson commuters at present, and bus ridership is projected to increase to 30% by 2040. Existing bus and passenger travel demand is forecasted to increase substantially. As such, the Port Authority needs to support the projected growth of commuter and intercity travel crossing the Hudson. The Port Authority needs to address the functional and physical obsolescence of the existing terminal. The existing bus terminal is already at capacity and will not be able to meet future demand. It is also past the end of its useful life and will require significant structural repair if a replacement project is not undertaken. The repair would fix some of the issues facing the building today, but reduce the capacity of the facility to handle buses. The Port Authority needs to address bus operations and storage and staging. Project goals. The project seeks to improve Trans-Hudson bus operations, improve the passenger experience within the terminal, provide seamless passenger accessibility to NYC transit connection, strive to achieve consistency with local and regional land use plans and initiatives, develop a project that optimizes life cycle costs, and reduce the impacts of bus services on the built and natural environments. Project objectives. An important guiding principle driving this project is the enhancement of the commuter experience within the bus terminal. This principle has played a pivotal role in shaping the following project objectives: maintain and enhance connectivity with subways and mass transit, deliver a world-class, state-of-the-art, sustainable terminal design, preserve and improve pedestrian and ADA accessibility to traveler origins and destinations, and establish direct bus linkages to the Lincoln Tunnel. There is more detailed information about the project purpose and need, its goals and objectives in the Draft Environmental Impact Statement Reports Chapters 1 and 2. Community feedback. In this section, we will review the extensive community engagement conducted to date. In May 2019, the Port Authority released a planning-level scoping document for public review that commenced a 120-day comment period. The document identified a long list of alternatives that were screened down to 3 alternatives that best met the project purpose and need. These 3 alternatives were split operations between a rehabilitated bus terminal and the Javits Center, locate operations entirely at the Javits Center, and retain operations at the existing bus terminal site and Port Authority properties. The planning-level draft scoping document, summary of comments and responses, and final scoping report summarizing this process and outcome are all available on the project website, www.PABTreplacement.com. In June 2021, a notice of intent to prepare an environmental impact statement was released to the public, initiating a 45-day comment period to solicit feedback on the NEPA Scoping Information Packet. Following this period, the final NEPA Scoping Information Packet was published summarizing comments received. This extensive public and stakeholder input during the planning level scoping and NEPA scoping periods informed the Port Authority in formulating its proposal for the modified proposed project, which is referred to as the Bus Terminal Replacement Project. Bus storage and staging. In consideration of the public comments and local community feedback regarding impacts caused by bus traffic on city streets and the utilization of street-level bus stops, queuing and parking across various locations, the Port Authority responded by incorporating a bus storage and staging facility that will facilitate direct connections between the Lincoln Tunnel and the new terminal. The new ramp structure, which connects the tunnel, storage and staging facility, and new main terminal, will reduce and further minimize any impacts to city streets from buses accessing the replacement facility. This reduced use of city streets will help offset the natural growth of local traffic that is currently impacted due to curbside and bus terminal operations. Additionally, during the planning level scoping process, the community put forth a request to the Port Authority to relocate the intercity buses presently operating at adjacent curbside locations into the scope of the project. Unlike a transit bus service, which has frequent stops within a city, an intercity bus service generally has a single stop in a city and travels long distances to reach other cities. Presently, some intercity bus services operate within the existing terminal, while others operate curbside along city streets. In response to the public comments regarding curbside operations, a dedicated floor within the new main terminal will now facilitate the efficient functioning of curbside operations. Project overview and site plans. In this next section, we share renderings of each project component. This is an aerial map of the existing Port Authority bus terminal facilities, distinctly outlined in orange. The facilities extend from 8th Avenue to 11th Avenue between 39th Street and 42nd Street. Project components. This locally preferred alternative, also known as the Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement Program, or the New Midtown Bus Terminal, includes the following components: a new main terminal at the location of the existing terminal, utilization of Port Authority property, an integrated building immediately west of the main terminal to accommodate commuter bus storage and staging, a new ramp structure and underpass to connect directly the buildings and the Lincoln Tunnel, publicly accessible open space, and private development at 2 locations on Port Authority property. Now we will walk through each major component of the proposed project. The main terminal will be located at 8th Avenue crossing over 9th Avenue between 40th Street and 42nd Street and will include 5 floors of bus gates, 1 floor for intercity buses, and 4 floors for regional commuter buses. 182 bus gates, approximately 40 of which are dedicated to intercity operations. Direct connection to the 8th Avenue subway and Times Square transit hubs. Best-in-class passenger amenities such as modern facilities, appealing street-facing retail spaces, modernized ticketing areas, and state-of-the-art design. The Americans with Disabilities Act or ADA standards integrated into layout and design. A partial closure of 41st Street will create a linkage of a north and south wing, increasing operational efficiency and public access. Larger central atrium, and finally, approximately 55,665 square feet of street-facing retail space, as well as 13,700 square feet of interior retail space. The main terminal will ultimately be connected to the storage and staging facility and ramps across 40th Street to create an integrated operation and circulation pattern. The new storage and staging facility will be located between 9th Avenue and 10th Avenue between 39th Street and 40th Street. This facility is designed to encompass 5 levels of storage, accommodating approximately 300 to 350 storage spots. This additional storage space is anticipated to reduce vehicular congestion on city thoroughfares and throughout the Lincoln Tunnel during rush hour. The storage and staging facility will serve as a temporary bus terminal for commuters during the construction phase of the main terminal. Additionally, the facility will provide approximately 65,700 square feet of additional at-grade retail space. The new ramp structure will be located at Galvin Plaza, west of 10th Avenue. The ramp structure will serve all bus movements into and out of the above-grade bus levels of the replacement facility to and from the Lincoln Tunnel. Spanning an area of approximately 350,000 square feet, the ramp structure will connect to the storage and staging facility and main terminal. The design of the ramps will greatly relieve congestion on 40th Street and 9th Avenue. This ramp structure design will also enhance the quality of the urban streetscape while optimizing bus reliability. The new ramp structure will maximize bus access to the Lincoln Tunnel and other approaches while minimizing the need for terminal-bound buses on local streets for circulation or terminal access. Adjacent to the storage staging facility, 2 below-grade sections of Dyer Avenue or the Lincoln Tunnel Expressway between 37th Street and 39th Street, and 9th Avenue and 10th Avenue will be decked over. The deckovers on Dyer Avenue will serve as a location for temporary bus operations and potentially for construction staging during the development phase of the replacement terminal. Following the completion of the main terminal, these areas will be transformed into expansive, publicly accessible open spaces, totaling nearly 3½ acres, enhancing the urban landscape. The Port Authority is committed to collaborating closely with community stakeholders on the design and operation of the open space. At this time, no specific design or range of options has been put forth for the development of this open space, as a consultative process will occur in the future. As part of the project, 2 private development towers are proposed to be built on Port Authority property located on 8th Avenue between 40th Street and 42nd Street. The 2 towers are proposed as commercial offices. Tower 1 would contain up to approximately 3 million gross square feet of commercial space with an approximate height of 1,200 feet above grade and a lobby entrance located on the corner of 8th Avenue and 42nd Street. Tower 2 would contain up to approximately 2 million gross square feet of commercial space, with an approximate height of 900 feet above grade and a lobby entrance located on the corner of 8th Avenue and 40th Street. These approximations are subject to market demand. The funding strategy for the project would include financing from this private development and payment in lieu of taxes. Upon completion, the Port Authority Bus Terminal will provide many advantages to its diverse customers, community members, and various stakeholders, including an elevated public realm, significantly enhanced user experience, improved vehicular and pedestrian flow, and green energy transition, to name a few. Beginning with the elevated public realm, there will be major improvements in the streetscape, including the integration of street-facing storefronts throughout the project site and appropriately scaled sidewalks and pedestrian areas for diverse users. The conversion of the Dyer Avenue deck overs into publicly accessible space will further augment these improvements to the public realm. The creation of a larger central atrium by linking the north and south wings will enable intuitive wayfinding and significantly enhance the spatial experience of the terminal. The new ramp structure and storage and staging facility will contribute to the substantial reduction in bus vehicle miles traveled on city streets. This streamlined traffic flow will enhance the reliability of bus commutes, benefiting the experience of commuters. Moreover, the expanded intercity capacity will accommodate curbside operators using the facility. Lastly, the new terminal will embrace a green energy transition. The project is slated to achieve a LEED 4 Silver certification with the intent to pursue an Envision Gold rating consistently. This aligns with the adoption of electric fleet changes and the incorporation of modern energy-efficient systems within the terminal, striving towards a net zero carbon profile. In this next section, we will provide an overview of the project phasing as well as the construction process. The project timeline is estimated to be approximately 10 years. Following scoping, the first 2.5 years of the project, beginning in January 2022, consists of an environmental review and the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, or ULURP, for the proposed project. Receiving and responding accordingly to public and industry feedback, and the procurement of construction, professional, and technical services for the project. The proposed project's timeline entails an estimated 8-year construction period, starting in 2024 through the end of 2032. The initial 4 years within this timeframe will be dedicated to constructing the Dyer Avenue deckovers, storage and staging facility, and the ramp structure. The storage and staging facility will open and serve as the temporary terminal by approximately late 2028, at which time the construction of the main terminal will begin for a duration of 4 years. The construction of the main terminal will incorporate foundational work for the private development set to occur independently in the future. Construction of the main terminal is anticipated to be completed by the end of 2032. The private development will occur after then and are expected to be completed by 2040. The following renderings will depict the 8-year construction period organized into 2 major phases. Phase 1, occurring between 2024 and 2028, will commence with early action activities focused on the construction of 2 deck-over structures south of the existing ramps. These deckovers will be placed over the mouth of the south and center tubes of the Lincoln Tunnel. Additionally, Phase 1 will include the construction of the ramp structure and storage and staging facility. The storage and staging facility will be equipped to operate as a temporary terminal when the construction of the main terminal begins. This strategic adaptation will allow the continuity of essential transportation services during the onset of construction for the main terminal, thus minimizing disruptions and maintaining the uninterrupted provision of transportation services throughout the subsequent phases of the project. Once the storage and staging facility is available for temporary operations, Phase 2, occurring between 2028 and 2032, will consist of demolition of the existing Port Authority bus terminal, construction of the new main terminal, as well as the foundational work of 2 private development towers. Once the main terminal is complete and operational, the storage and staging facility will be converted from temporary commuter operations to storage and staging operations. The Dyer Avenue deckovers can then be converted to public open space, with the foundation and cores of 2 private towers incorporated in the design and construction of the new bus terminal. The development of private development would commence subject to market demand and expected to be constructed by 2040. The sale of the development rights and payment in lieu of taxes for the 2 commercial office towers are needed to fund the project. In this next section, we will conclude with an overview of the environmental timeline and next steps. At present, the project is positioned at Step 5 within its comprehensive planning and environmental review process. The DEIS public hearings and 45-day comment period began with the publication of the DEIS. In terms of the next steps, the project team will consolidate all comments received during public meetings, including those submitted via the project website, email, mail, and voicemail. Then the project will progress to Step 6, in which the team will prepare and release a final environmental impact statement and the record of decision by the summer of 2024. Following this presentation, attendees will have the opportunity to provide comments. For those who have pre-registered to provide a comment, the moderator will call upon your name in the order in which your registration was received. Each participant will have 3 minutes to articulate their comments. If you have not pre-registered to provide a comment, you may request to do so once the public hearing is underway, and you will be called upon if time permits. Alternatively, written submissions of comments can be submitted before and after the in-person public hearing through the designated website www.pabtreplacement.com. Email at pabtreplacementnipa@panyj.gov. By phone, leaving a voicemail at 929-5027-304. Or by postal correspondence to the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey. 4, World Trade Center 150 Greenwich Street, 25th floor, New York, New York zip code 10007. Attention to Miss Elizabeth Rogak, Esquire. Or to the Federal Transit Administration, Region 2, 1 Bowling Green, Room 428, New York, New York zip code 10004-1415. Attention to Mr. Donald Burns, FDA Director of Planning and Program Development. All comments submitted during this public hearing and the entire 45-day public comment period will be reviewed and addressed within the final environmental impact statement, which is expected to be completed in summer of 2024. The following slide is a summary of the DEIS public comment period schedule. The 45-day public comment period started on February 2nd, 2024, and will end on March 18, 2024. This concludes the pre-recorded presentation. We will now transition to the moderated portion of the meeting, during which comments will be received.
Thank you for your attention. As stated in the video presentation and on the screen, there are a number of ways that you can comment on the project. The draft environmental impact statement is posted on the project website, and your comments can be submitted via the project website at www.pabtreplacement.com, by voicemail, email, and by U.S. mail at any time during the 45-day comment period, which ends on March 18th, 2024. Any method that you choose to use during this comment period will be treated equally. I will now introduce our moderator, Maura Fitzpatrick, to begin the public comment portion of this hearing.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and good evening and welcome to this public comment portion of this hearing. I'd like to go over some ground rules before we begin to hear the comments. The information that I'm about to present is also on your screen. The left side shows how you can make comments this evening, and the right side shows how you can submit comments through the end of the comment period on March 18th at 5 p.m. If you've not already registered to make a public statement and would like to, please use the Zoom Q&A function to make that request. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. We will be keeping time, and I will notify you when you have 30 seconds remaining and when your time is complete. Please note that we will not be responding to comments in this meeting, but all comments submitted will become part of the meeting record, and responses will be included in the final environmental impact statement. Also note that we have a stenographer with us this evening recording your oral comments. I ask that you address your comments to the subject at hand, which is the Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement Project, and that you use respectful language in your communications. If you prefer not to speak publicly, you can write your brief comment in the Q&A function. You can submit longer comments via the public project website, email, voicemail, all of the information that's on your screen. I want to stress that all comments have the same weight regardless of how they're submitted. I will be calling the names of those who have registered to speak in the order received. Elected officials will also be offered the opportunity to speak. I will also be calling the names of the next few speakers, and you will see that list of upcoming speakers on the screen. You can register to speak at any time until 7:55 p.m. this evening. When your name is called, your microphone will be unmuted by our meeting host. Please allow a moment for that to occur, and please have your microphone volume up. I will then ask you to state and spell your first and last name for the record. After that, I will begin to time your statement. As a reminder, we'll be limiting comments to 3 minutes, and I will let you know when you have 30 seconds left to wrap up. If you have additional comments, you can submit them via the methods listed on the screen during the public comment period. In addition to the American Sign Language interpretation that you see on your screen, we are also providing Spanish language simultaneous interpretation. For those of you who have requested language interpretation, the interpreter will advise you about when you are next to make your statement. Please be sure to pause every couple of sentences to allow for your interpreter to have sufficient time to interpret to the group. And I want to remind all of you to select the appropriate language channel at the bottom of your Zoom screen. There may be gaps in the audio while the interpreter is talking to the commenter on their language channel, so please be patient with those gaps. This comment portion of the meeting lasts until 8 p.m. If speakers are still waiting as that time approaches, we will try to accommodate them as needed. And if time allows, people who have already spoken will be able to provide additional comments, but they do need to register to do so. I will now call the first speaker, and please remember to state and spell your first and last name, and that there is a 3-minute time limit. So our first speaker is John Shea, followed by Gennaro Jaramillo, and then by Jason Anthony. So is John Shea with us this evening? Is Gennaro Jaramillo with us? And in case people are joining us late, we will go over this list again for those who are not with us at the moment. The next speaker will be Jason Anthony, followed by Michael Hirachi, followed by Sue Marks. So is Jason Anthony with us? Is Michael Hirachi with us? Is Sue Marks with us? Okay, so if you'll give us a moment to update our speaker list, and we'll show you on the screen again the methods by which you can submit comments this evening, as well as submitting the comments through the end of the comment period. And our registrars will pull up the next list of names for just a moment. So our next speaker to register is Amy Whitman, followed by Brandon Buchanan, followed by Christine Berthet. Is Amy Whitman with us? Is Brendan Buchanan with us?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hi, Brendan. If you could please state and spell your first and last name for us, and then I'll begin to time you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Brandon Buchanan, Brandon. Last name Buchanan, Buchanan.
Please begin.
Thank you again for holding this public outreach hearing. Again, my name is Brandon Buchanan. I'm with the American Bus Association, and for nearly 100 years, we have represented the private, intercity, and charter bus industry. We fully support initiatives to refresh and expand bus terminal accessibility and provide accessible and enhanced transportation options in key hubs like New York City. I'd initially like to start by thank you for the video presentation and that overview, but definitely using differing terminology might help not only with people fully understanding the nature of the project, but also providing comment on it. So we would recommend renaming storage to using the term parking or layover. We also would like to see charter bus parking considered in the plan overall. There are already parking facility contractors utilized at Port Authority Bus Terminal for car parking. You can utilize the same contractors to facilitate motor coach parking. New York City is by far the largest motor coach travel and tourism destination in the world, and yet it has the smallest amount of motor coach parking among all major destinations. We also think that there should be some mention or acknowledgement of the congestion pricing initiative within the plan. We do have a question, which although we know questions are not being responded to in this format, but will funding from congestion pricing initiatives be utilized as part of this project? Will terminal gate fees in the future consider the impact of congestion pricing as those fees are set for 2025 and beyond? We also think that an inventory of intercity and commuter bus operations throughout the city should be considered. And we do believe that the slots estimated for intercity bus use have been underestimated with the 40 that are part of the plan. We do believe that at least 60 should be necessary. Currently, when you look at the intercity bus permit for the curbside options for intercity transportation, there is a significant number of operators who seem to have not been considered for integration into the Port Authority, the future Port Authority bus terminal. We note that there are at least 35 operators that are on the curbsides today with permits who would fall into that category. And it's hard to imagine only 40 slots, including those current curbside operators, as well as the intercity bus tenants that already exist over the next 16 years through to 2040.
And you have 30
We
seconds.
also
Please. Thank
we
you.
also believe that as parking overall has decreased, there are many examples throughout the nation, looking at Union Station in Washington, D.C., Milwaukee's intermodal facility, that have shown that combining parking with intercity, curbside, commuter, and charter operations can create a significant economic impact for local community.
And please
Thank you again for allowing us to provide some comment. As well as a commercial vehicle parking facility. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brandon. So our next speaker then is Christine Berthet, followed by William Kelly, followed by Mary Flaherty. Is Christine Berthet with us? Is William Kelly with us? Is Mary Flaherty with us? The following two speakers who have registered are Julia Campanelli, followed by Dylan Jared Rice. Is Julia Campanelli?
This is Mary Flaherty. I'm here.
Oh, Mary Flaherty. Hi, how are you? We're glad
Hi.
you're here. You could please state and spell your first and last name for us, and then I'll begin to time you.
My first name is Mary, M-A-R-Y. My last name is Flaherty, F-L-A-H-E-R-T-Y.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
I wanted to speak today because I looked at the website for the new Port Authority and I didn't see any mention of using bird-friendly, non-reflective glass. And there's going to be a lot of glass. Up to 230,000 birds die every year in New York City, a lot of them when they're migrating. In New York City alone, mainly due to crashing into reflective glass windows. Disorienting bright light beams in the sky are also a major cause of collisions. We know this because New York City Audubon volunteers participated in a study where they went out early in the morning and cataloged dead birds. Birds have been migrating for hundreds of thousands of years along the Atlantic Flyway, and New York City is on this path. Real estate developers have only been erecting tall glass buildings for about 70 years, and they haven't been mindful of bird migrations. And that also includes our year-rounders as well. The Jacob Javits Center is a notable exception, having replaced all 6,000 panes of glass on its facade to be non-reflective and tinted so that the birds could see it and avoid collisions. It was once the #1 killer of birds in New York City, and the renovation reduced the bird kills by 90%. Real estate developers must be responsible when planning buildings so that birds don't crash into them, get concussed, and die. You might think the glass will look cool, but the ground under it will be full of dead birds if it isn't bird friendly. People love birds because they're beautiful, they sing, and they bring joy. But most importantly, they are absolutely essential to the ecosystem in so many ways, including pollination and insect control. We need birds, and National Audubon has reported that we've lost 1 in 4 birds in North America alone in the last 50 years. The ecosystem seems to be failing. Please be responsible and do the right thing. Please install bird-friendly glass. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, and we're going to back to list, and we understand that William Kelly is with us. So William, if you are able to, we will unmute you and we'd like to hear your statement.
Thank you. My name is William, W-I-L-L-I-A-M Kelley, Kelley.
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. I am the Director of Programs and Planning at the Clinton Housing Development Company, or CHDC. We're a nonprofit affordable housing organization headquartered at 403 West 40th Street at 9th Avenue in 7 interconnected tenements containing 38 rent-stabilized apartments and 4 family-run small businesses that have been on site for decades. Although the local community board has been apprised generally of the bus terminal redevelopment plans, our organization has not been consulted specifically, and our northernmost building directly abuts the current 9th Avenue ramps and will be surrounded by the main terminal in the future. As such, we have the following comments. The DEIS states that representative sites were chosen for construction impact analysis and that significant adverse impacts will be avoided through a combination of efficient construction equipment, vibration monitoring plans, and MPT plans. However, due to the nonspecific nature of the language of the DEIS, we were not able to evaluate impacts on our immediately adjacent properties. CHDC thus requests that more detailed site-specific analysis of Phase 2 construction impacts be disclosed on Block 1050, Lot 29, in order to ensure that 1, noise and air quality impacts do not significantly impact our residents, and particularly the elderly who are at home all day. 2, excavation, drilling, and construction vibrations do not cause damage to the foundations, walls, or structures of our 165-year-old buildings. And 3, that clear ADA access and signage is maintained at all times for our residential and small business entrances. We're particularly concerned about the economic impacts of long-term construction given the number of businesses that closed permanently uptown during the 2nd Avenue subway construction. The DEIS acknowledges that there are also adverse impacts on historic resources within the Paddy's Market Historic District, of which we are a contributing resource. Our old law tenement buildings are at extreme risk due to the proposed project because our buildings were constructed on rubble foundations, and there's also an underground stream that traverses the lot and could cause extensive damage to existing buildings when adjacent lots are excavated. The DEIS mentions the construction protection plan will be devised. Again, however, we're not able to evaluate potential adverse impacts in the absence of more information. The DEIS also includes a draft programmatic agreement that outlines commitments that the Port Authority must make to protect historic resources, but there's no mention of consulting any property owners whose historic buildings will be impacted by construction. So as an owner of adjacent historic properties, CHDC requests that our organization be formally recognized as a consulting party in the programmatic agreement and also be included as a formal consulting partner for the upcoming construction protection plan, as well as any potential emergency situations that arise near our buildings during the construction time period. In summary, we appreciate the Port Authority is aware that the years-long construction project will have adverse impacts on surrounding properties, but it's not enough to say a plan will be made in the future to address all as yet undefined construction projects. We will be submitting a technical memo detailing our specific concerns by the March 18th comment period deadline and request that these specific concerns be addressed in the FEIS and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Take care. Appreciate it. Okay, next is Julia Campanelli, followed by Dylan Gerard Rice, followed by Dana Anderson. Is Julia Campanelli with us? Is Dylan Gerard Rice with us? The next registered speakers are Dana Anderson, followed by Ryan Brodsky, followed by Tatiana Kirchner. Is Dana Anderson with us? Is Ryan Brodsky with us?
I'm here.
Ryan, if you could state and spell your first and last name for us, and then I'll
Sure.
begin.
I'm Ryan Brodsky. You've got it on the screen, the spelling.
You
I
could
spoke
say
in
it out
person
loud for
earlier
the
this week.
stenographer, please, Ryan, and then I'll start the
Oh.
time.
What's that?
If you could spell it, please, for the stenographer, and then I'll start.
Okay, it's Ryan, R-Y-A-N, Brodsky, B-R-O-D-S-K-Y.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I spoke earlier this week on behalf of Astro's Community Dog Run, which is losing its home after 20 years of serving Hell's Kitchen. Today, I speak as a resident living on the corner of 10th and 40th, opposite where 2 of these new monolithic structures are being forced into the neighborhood. This is a $10 billion project with almost no character, innovation, or even attempts to do anything beyond shoehorn a bunch of giant metal boxes into a residential neighborhood where they will be immediately out of scale and out of place. Why are the roofs of the buildings, the Mammoth main terminal and the storage and staging facility, not green roofs or covered with solar panels to help mitigate the carbon footprint? Or value-added spaces like rooftop parks for public use, like San Francisco developed in their new transit hub that opened in 2018. It's gorgeous. Can we describe any part of this project as gorgeous? Or how the Javits Center remodeled and expanded their green roof, the largest in the country, I believe, and rooftop gardens and greenhouse in the last 5 years. So beautiful, they even offer guided tours. The proposed ramp system, growing from just about 15 feet above 10th Avenue to a whopping 146 feet with 5 separate over and underpasses crossing 10th Avenue at 40th Street, is already a monstrosity and should instead be a single crossing at 10th Avenue with a storage facility integrating a spiral ramp within its own footprint to move buses from level to level, just as the Michael J. Quill bus facility on 11th Avenue does, or with a sloping parking levels like in a standard parking garage that will lead up and down in place of a separate ramp. Having more unsightly ramp levels outside the building will only allow more idling and not change the simple fact that all of these ramps lead to the same antiquated 2-lane tunnel that will have the same capacity 10 years from now as it has today and it's had since it was built years ago. Additionally, any ramps should be completely enclosed to introduce perhaps some sort of carbon capture, or at the very least to capture emissions from double the number of buses coming in and out, and through air handling and filtering, stop emissions from affecting air quality. Enclosing the ramps will also remedy the current issue where bus drivers throw so much trash out bus windows as they travel down the ramp into the tunnel that it's a never-ending stream of garbage in Astro's dog run alongside the ramp. We know it's the bus drivers littering because the primary piece of garbage we find are the spools of passenger receipts, some up to 12 feet long, that only the bus driver has access to, and includes a driver number on every recorded ticket. The wrappers, bottles, and other garbage landing in the dog run I can attribute to bus drivers, as generally they have the only opening window on most coaches and buses. Let's see.
Almost up,
I
right?
know that we need this project, but it does nothing to mitigate the sightlines and out-of-place presence that these giant new structures will be. The project as it stands makes no effort to fit into the neighborhood where it already does not, but also appease the community it's going to tear apart for the next 8 to 10 years.
Please
You can do
conclude your
better for New York. You can
very much. Okay, our next speaker is Tatiana Kersner, followed by Alan Green, followed by John Shea. Tatiana Kersner with us? Is Alan Green with us? Okay, now we're going to start at the top of the list again in case some of our registered speakers has joined us since I called their name last. John Shea, followed by Gennaro Jaramillo, followed by Jason Anthony. Is John Shea with us? Is Gennaro Jaramillo with us? Is Jason Anthony with us? I think I'm seeing a note that Alan Green is with us. Is that's correct?
I'm here. I just wrote in the Q&A. I wrote my comments in the Q&A section.
All right. Thank you so much, Alan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. All right, and then last Jason Anthony, is he with us? If not, we will go and we will refresh our speaker list and again show you the methods by which you can submit comments either this evening or through the end of the comment period on the right at March 18th at 5 p.m. Okay, so our next registered speakers that we're revisiting this list, we've called their names before, is Michael Hirachi, Sue Marks, and Amy Whitman. Is Michael Hirachi with us? Is Sue Marks with us? Is Amy Whitman with us? And then the last two are Christine Berthet and Julia Campanelli. Is Christine Berthet with us? Is Julia Campanelli with us? I believe that concludes the list of registered speakers, but I will let our registrars update the list to confirm that with me. Give us a moment. Oh, three more. I forgot. My bad. So we have Dylan Gerard Rice, followed by Dana Anderson, followed by Tatiana Kersner. Is Dylan Gerard Rice with us? Is Dana Anderson with us? Is Tatiana Kersner with us? Believe then that this is now the last speakers that have registered. But again, I will let our registrars confirm that with me. Give us just a moment. Thank you, registrars. So with that, we have concluded the people who have signed up to speak who are with us this evening. What we will do now is we will wait. We will be here till 8 p.m. regardless, but we will give people a chance to join the webinar and potentially sign up to speak. And some of you in the audience may change your mind and choose to speak. Just let us know in the Q&A function if you'd like to. Otherwise, we're going to go off camera and we're going to check in every few minutes just to make sure that we haven't missed a new person who wants to speak. And so we will be back in just a couple of moments. Thank you. And we do in fact have an additional speaker. We have Michael Hirachi, who has been signed up to speak this evening and has joined us. So if we can unmute Michael's audio, and then I'll ask you to spell and state and spell your first and last name, and then you can make your statement and I'll begin to time you.
Hello.
Yes, hi Michael, how are you? If you could spell and state your first name, first and last name for us, and then I'll start to time you.
Hi, yes. My name is Michael Hirachi. My first name is spelled Michael. My last name is spelled Huarachi.
Thank you. Please begin.
Yes, my name is Michael Hirachi. I'd like to touch on 3 points this evening. First one being sustainability, and the next two are noise and pollution. In terms of sustainability, I really enjoy the idea and the proposal to have the sustainable buses, including buses that have bike racks in the front. I think that's forward thinking and a long-term solution to emphasizing micromobility in the plans. I would love to see street trees with large tree pits and tree guards around the periphery of the project, and limited to no parking, unlike what we see now, including the parking for Port Authority and or police officers around the periphery. They can take public transportation just like everybody else. And I would love to see the project put a strong emphasis on accessibility when we build infrastructure to be accessible to people with disabilities. We also, in turn, enhance the experience for people with children, for people with luggage, tourists, and anybody else that would also benefit from an enhanced accessible infrastructure. Next 2 points I would like to briefly mention are the noise and pollution. Living a block away from the bus terminal myself, I do use it to visit my family in Northeast New Jersey. I really enjoy the 45-minute ride. Super convenient, super reliable. I really do appreciate everybody that works at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. I know that they're not perfect. There's a lot of room for improvement, particularly on the New Jersey side. I would love to see red light, speed, and acoustic cameras implemented around the project. As a pedestrian, as somebody who uses the facility, who lives in the neighborhood, there are issues with pedestrian safety in terms of cars and trucks and buses running red lights, blocking pedestrian walkways, including the crosswalks.
Please.
Yes, and using the horns illegally. We do have the highest particulate matter 2.5 in all of Manhattan. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate all that you do.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening. Okay, so I'm going to check with our registrars and those who are checking the Q&A, whether we have any additional speakers. Give us a moment to check that. Okay, looks like we do not have any additional speakers. So we will come back in about 5 minutes to shut down the hearing. So if we could, I'm actually going to have our registrars put up the information about how comments can be submitted, if that's okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll be back in a few minutes, and take care. So this concludes the public comment portion of this meeting. I will now turn it back over to Elizabeth Rogak for final comments, and thank you everyone for coming.
Yes, thank you. And yes, this concludes the virtual hearing. As noted, the draft environmental impact statement is available on the Port Authority website, and your comments can be submitted via the project website at www.pabtreplacement.com by voicemail, email, and by US mail at any time during the 45-day comment period, which ends on March 18th, 2024. On behalf of the FTA and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, thank you all for your participation and your comments on the Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement Project's draft environmental impact statement. The time is now 7:55. This concludes the public hearing. Thank you.